kids now some philosophers have called boats the airplanes of the sea. But while every glamorous Glennis has its slow motion, so too does JJ the jet plane have his awful counterpart. Her legacy in many ways resembles my middle school career, a 3-year-long travesty plagued by blunder after blunder due to both gross incompetence and sheer misfortune, with the only silver lining being that it's remembered by relatively few. Meet the USS William D. Porter, nicknamed the Willie D, which was a perfectly acceptable alias in the days before Dante asked Dante tell she was a Fletcher-class destroyers, which if you know Fletcher as well as I do, you know he's pretty high class at destroying. Like when he snapped off my DS screen during summer camp because he was trying to get a better look, didn't even apologize. It was just like, well, you know, supposed to bring video games to camp anyway, even though everyone did. You Fletcher, you were a counselor, you supposed to be more mature than us. You're the reason I grew up with a lingering resentment towards authority, and my only reprisal is that I got to draw you as the disgusting fat lard for millions of people. Actually, I think his name out of an airing anyway. In July of 1943, the ship was commissioned by the Navy and led by Lieutenant Commander Wilfreda Walter as her first real job. The Willie Day was assigned to a top-secret escort mission across the Atlantic. Walter was like, all right man, time to prove ourselves. I want to see you all on your A-game. And as its first act under military command, the ship didn't raise anchor properly into a massive chunk out of the ship next to it while pulling out. Okay, rough start, but definitely not a sign of things to come. The next day she met up with 3 other ships, including 2 destroyers and a battleship known as the USS Iowa, and the fleet set off towards Africa. Given the clandestine nature of the operation, they were ordered to maintain total radio silence so as not to alert any subs that might be lurking below. Suddenly, boom bang woof, Hare Krishna, huge explosion off the starboard quarter. They're like holy evasive maneuvers, but after however many minutes the transmission comes in saying, oh hi, this is Wilfred dear the Willie Walter, I mean, so a depth charge may have accidentally fallen off the ship, and we may have also forgotten to turn off the safety mechanisms on said charge, causing it to detonate immediately. So if you heard a little noise a bit ago, no cause for alarm. Also sorry for breaking radio silence, love you. By shortly thereafter, a strange phenomenon was spotted near the officer. What low rhyme of the ancient is that? Appears to be a large wave, sir. Jesus Christ, how hat now. Basically everything that wasn't tied down ended up being swept off, and one of the boilers in the engine room got foobar, but fortunately no crew members were taken away except for the one that was. Later the 4 ships congregated in the waters east of Bermuda when the Iowa decided to test its anti-air abilities and launched a bunch of weather balloons for target practice. A few of these drifted towards the Willie D, and they took some potshots just for fun, probably wrecking some happy albatross households in the process. But Walter was like, men, it's time to redeem ourselves. Spit those crayons out. Do you know the purple ones are bad for you? Time for some impromptu torpedo drills on the Iowa. Yay, that was 9 are in the POW. They're gonna douse their trousers when they see how good we toward those toes. Say, you guys remember to take it the primer out of all of them before launching, right? Yes sir. Yep. What? Fortunately the Iowa didn't really have much valuable cargo that could be damaged in the event that the torpedo struck, except for 32nd President of the United States Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was being escorted to Cairo as the whole point of the mission. The next 5 minutes aboard the Willie D were just total chaos. Humid sacks of rice hogs and bats sniffing each other. Massive stereos. Commander, we really should radio that. No, I am not breaking any more rules. Do the flashy light thing. Hey, incoming signal from all the iron brains. A hook. They're saying they're going to reverse at full speed. What? Off a bow sprint. This ain't working fine. Column FaceTime. Whoa, I don't give a hoot. The transmission arrived in the nick of time and the torpedo detonated a safe distance away in the Iowa's wing. Of course that didn't stop the entire crew of the Willie D from being arrested for, shooting a torpedo at the President. Lawton Dawson, the Elmer's eater from earlier, was initially sentenced to 14 years hard labor till FDR came out, was like, no, it's okay, boys will be boys, but we are sending you in the rest of Carnival Cruise Line to Alaska where there's fewer things to ruin by being yourself. Get it? Carnival Cruise Line, because you're the worst. And also clowns, so they kicked it for a while in the Aleutians, otherwise known as the tale of the pregnant rat that makes up Alaska. This went on mostly without incident except for when they were anchored sight an officer's home during a New Year's Eve party, and a sailor got drunk and decided to fire off one of the 5-inch guns for a laugh, ended up sending a bunch of his geraniums straight to hell where they belong. Other than that, smooth sailing. Then they hung out at the Philippines for a bit before Central Command was like, RA, looks like you smooth skins are ready for actual missions again, except you're going to clown college. And the Willie D was sent to the Battle of Okinawa under the leadership of some guy named Charles. Here they actually did some worthwhile stuff until June 10, 1945, when a kamikaze began to dive towards them. They weren't able to shoot it down, probably Because it was an American but crashed. In the water some ways away there are, like few crisis averted turned there. Attention elsewhere unintentionally. Driving right over where the bomber landed the plane was like the hell oh. That's right Banzai. About 3 hours of desperate repairs went by before the order to abandon ship was given, and miraculously, every crew member made it out alive by the time the ship sank just 12 minutes later. So it just goes to show everything has its silver lining. Everyone on the dipship gets to live every filthy Chuck E. Cheese